So last time we were over here. Okay, now we're going to actually start splitting our AI into, the advanced AI, and then later on we're going to see the bot AI and stuff like that are going to go on the third person shooter. So if we want to break, make another backup of this, again, we're going to use the navmesh. Okay, then by all means do so. Even though some of the stuff we're going to see will work both for these two cases of the AI. Okay, yeah, but I'm going to start, focusing more on the advanced AI part. So we're basically going to be recreating the stuff we've seen on the other videos. Now, okay, as a recap, what we basically did is make the character or the enemy AI basically go to the position of the player. Now we're going to give this guy a little bit more behaviors. At first we're going to set it up as we will have to set it up by ourselves. Okay, and then we will see if we want to make it dynamic or something like that. Now the AI, basically for this one, we're going to give him some behaviors and we're going to see if he sees the player. We're going to make him wait, and we're going to add on his alert stats, and if he goes over the limit we're going to set, then he's going to go towards the player. If we remove the player from the equation, then he's going to wait for a few seconds and then go back into his previous behaviors. So I'm going to basically just disable the player, or we do not actually need to disable the player, we can simply disable his collider. Okay, and we're going to go into our AI. Let's open our AI script. And now what we can do with this, if mono behavior decides to open, okay, and we can keep writing all of this into the same script, but it might get a little bit cluttered, and for the purposes of the video it won't be that good. So what I'm going to do is basically break it a little bit apart, and since we're going to start introducing multiple scripts, I'm going to add them into under a namespace, and I'm writing the namespace. You can create your own namespace. Okay, and okay, so we are like this. Now we can start, I think we should create a static class and basically take behaviors from there and call it into this guy. Okay, since there's no need to actually derive from mono behavior. So let's go do that. Yeah, scripts, enemy AI, and let's create another script. And we can go with common behaviors, or let's go with common behaviors and we'll see. Let's go make this static class so we can take from mono behavior, and let's create also another class. We're going to also make it serializable, and we're going to basically see a way to create our waypoints. Now for starters, we're going to have to set them up ourselves, so we're going to add a target destination, and well, let's keep it like this for now, and let's just slowly introduce new stuff and new stuff. Now what we need to actually do is come over here and add a list with our waypoints. We can create them also into a different script. Okay, and I mean have all our stats into a different script, which wouldn't be really a bad idea, to be honest. So yeah, let's do that, but first let's also add a namespace for these two. Okay, close this, and let's call this enemy. We can call it enemy instance, enemy stats. Let's call it enemy stats. Okay, we're going to add again the namespace. So what I want right now is a list of my waypoints base, and I'm going to call this waypoints. Okay, we'll be slowly adding new stuff to this. Let's add into our AI the script, just so that we do not forget later. Enemy stats, let's also drop it above. From the enemy stats, of course, we can affect also, you know, speed, angular speed, acceleration, all that, but we will see them when we actually have to. And on enemy AI, let's also create a reference for this, enemy stats, and let's just call it nstats. And nstats will be, let's get a component, enemy stats. Okay, and let's go back to common behaviors. So what we have over here is basically we're going to use this class and these functions and use the behaviors and call this function, and we're basically going to be passing the enemy AI. Okay, and anything we need to do will be done in here. Now let me check my notes. Okay, because we have done this before, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so we're going to come over here and let me think. Yeah, on enemy stats, we're going to hide in the inspector, and we want to have a waypoint base, and we call this current waypoint enemy AI, and I also want this to be public, both of these actually, because I want to be able to access them from other scripts, but I do not care if they are visible in the inspector or not. Now we are over here. Let's call this patrol. It's going to be a void. Let's call this patrol behavior, and let's write this. It's going to take the enemy AI, and we're simply going to write it as AI. So from inside the enemy AI, I can actually access the enemy stats. Okay, and everything I need to change from this script. So for somebody to patrol, of course, what he needs to do is we need to check first if he actually has a waypoint, and to check first, of course, we need to make this public. Okay, so let's delete this AI state. And now it wants to be annoying. So let's delete this AI state. Oh, come on. Yeah, it wants to be annoying because we actually want and starts. Okay, we have waypoints and current waypoint. Well, if we actually have enemy stats, okay, and if we didn't have the new over here, then we will actually need to also check not only if we have waypoints, if the actual waypoints are not null. Okay, so we need a current waypoint to store it, so that will be we shall also create an index on the enemy stats, so let's do this also. Well, actually we do not need to hide this, so let's call it like this, waypoint index. As I said, you can encapsulate a lot of this and write them under the same script, but yeah, because in the videos, you know, I'll have to search through all of this. I don't, but you should probably just use it and you won't have to write this too also all the time. Or alternatively, you can simply, you know, do this. Okay, and it will be the same. So waypoints will be the current I didn't say waypoint index, yeah. Okay, so we have a waypoint. That means we want to go there. So to go there, we're going to utilize what we actually already have, and that is move to position in here. Let's make this a public void, and let's see, we also need a distance check, but one that doesn't work with a target. We also need a distance check that works with you know, with a vector 3 instead of a target, because we do not always want to use this. Okay, so let's change this, and let's see where we were using this before. Distance check. Okay, so instead of player target, then we're going to say dot position, and where else? I think radius behavior, player target dot position. Okay, so now we can actually encapsulate this and, you know, rework this into what we want. Now let's see, let's think. Yeah, actually that is kind of a bad idea, because what we have just done, okay, inside distance check we only have one variable that saves the distance. Okay, so if we run this more than once with a different target, then that means we are overwriting this, and we don't want to override this. We want to keep it to make sure that we have our player target. So we're going to Control Z all that. Okay, and this was a transform, and we're going to name this distance check player, and let's go to the enemy stats and then do public float waypoint distance, and we're going to store this in here instead. So we can create also, or well, we'll just do this inside common behaviors, and we can do if current or let's find the distance, waypoint distance will be vector 3 distance from our own position, okay, to the current waypoint target destination dot position. So we now have also our waypoint distance. Okay, now if waypoint distance is lower than Well, we can set it up as you know, let's think. Let's set as 2 and we'll see, we'll adjust settings later. If it's lower than 2, then what we need to do is basically decide if we want to go on the next waypoint. If there is no next waypoint, should we go backwards? Should we go directly to the first one? Should we go you know, in reverse order of our waypoints and stuff like that? So the easy way to do this, we're going to do an if waypoints waypoint index, and let's see, is lower than our waypoints, count -1, then all we have to do is waypoint index ++, and we also want to have a function, or basically, yeah, we can just do it from here. So in theory, if we just do the AI move to position, and the target position we'll be passing will be e dot current waypoint dot target distance, that target destination dot position, this should work. Okay, since the current waypoint changes, that means this needs to change also. And actually, instead of adding it in here, we can simply go and add it over here. Now there's only a slight problem with this, because we are adding to this one. Okay, then that means we're going to be skipping the very first waypoint, but yeah, we can fix that. So if the waypoint index is, you know, is covered, then let's do the reverse. So we reset our waypoint index, and what we're going to do, go to our waypoints and just reverse the whole list. Okay, so it will basically go the opposite way. And let's see, we have patrol behavior, enemy AI, and yeah, this will actually be inside one of these, or no, yeah, it's correct over here. Otherwise, yeah, let's delete this. I think I deleted a bit more than I needed. And now let's go add hook and hook this into our enemy AI. So for example, on update, not update, in change state, we have idle. Okay, and on late frame we're just running the idle behaviors. Now the problem with this is that we have idle and we also have late idle now, which both run behaviors on, you know, one will run it on our counter over here, okay, which runs every 15 and every 35 frames. Since this has to do with pathfinding, okay, and the nav message handles in a different thread, or, you know, handles by itself the movement, we don't necessarily need to run this behavior on every frame. We can just, and basically what we need is this, okay, this the check we have over here. So we don't necessarily care for this, and we don't necessarily care for, yeah, actually we do not need this one also to be here. So yeah, we can either check for every 15 or 35 frames. The only thing you need the only thing, yeah, you need to keep in mind is that if there's a chance that your AI agent will overshoot your target destination between either 15 or 35 frames, okay, so he goes inside this distance and then gets out of this distance, then you have to change where you call this. And if you just add it on every frame, then you don't have any problems. So let's go with late frame for now, but just keep in mind that depending on your game and what you want to do, you can simply change this to be called more sooner than when you have to. Okay, so common behaviors, patrol behavior, and we're simply passing this, and yeah, that won't work because we don't have the same signature. So we're going to go into the idle behaviors and just add it like that. And we also need to update this with the new name, and we should also update this. There's also one more name, which is this. Okay, save. Let's go back into Unity. The player is disabled, so we won't see anything from him. And let's add 3 target destinations at this point. Now, after we finished with most of our behaviors, we're going to create editor tools on how we can set this up more easily and visualize the path for each agent and stuff like that, because it's going to be easier to work with that way, of course. Okay, so for right now, we're just going to utilize this and do it the boring way. So I have, let me unlock this, let's call this waypoint, and let's also change this so that we know where he goes. Make maybe green, and let's select an AI and lock the screen. Okay, so let's drop waypoints. We don't necessarily care where they are, and let's drop them into our target destination. Now, in theory, it should just keep the first one, if I'm correct. And he doesn't do anything. Let's see why though. And yeah, probably because he was, let's see. Yeah, because he's in radius instead of idle or in view. Okay, now what we can do is either create a new delegate that has functions that can be run on each one of these, but then we will going to lose control of where we are calling this. So basically we simply need to go inside in radius behaviors, okay, and basically just do this. Just say that we need these behaviors also, and we should also do this, run it inside, and if we have it in view behaviors, means you are actually seeing the player, so you do not need it. Okay, and yeah, late idle doesn't matter because it's just added over here. So with this, you can actually, if the idle behaviors are too far away from your player to care, for the enemies to care, okay, then you can only do them inside your in radius. So you can disable your other enemies or the enemies that are far away. Okay, don't run any behaviors that are costly. Well, in this case, okay, we're only doing one pathfinding every 15 or 35 frames, so who cares. So let's see. It should play now, and it doesn't. So let's start debugging. Okay, we have patrol behaviors. Let's go to definition. The first thing we need to make sure is, does this even run? Okay. Okay, it runs. So we are over here. And yeah, I just realized what I did. Basically this will never run because the first waypoint is just far away. So what we can do is run this once, not once, let me think. Yeah, we can, basically we're going to override this patrol behavior, and yeah, we're going to skip this and basically force it to run it once in the beginning. So that will be a void, and we will just call this go to waypoint. Okay, and the only thing we're going to need in this case, we're going to just take, or yeah, let's not take all of it, let's just do this, and we have our AI move the position, and that will be AI enemy stats current waypoint. Okay, so we are taking this, Control Z with this, and let's go to our enemy AI, and a good place to do this will be inside start. Let's see. In theory, all your characters will start from, will start from idle behavior. So that means they will probably, you will probably need to go to the very first waypoint. Let's add this right now, and we will see what else we can do. And I didn't, well, we can leave this at the current waypoint. Well, actually this will give you an error because you do not have a current waypoint. So for example, we should just do, or now that I think of it, to be honest, let's not do it this way, and let's see the other ways we can do it. So let's delete this, although this is not an error. So the first time this is going to run, that means there is no current waypoint. Okay, so what that enables us to do is, if we add a check, if it's null, or better yet, let's add it in here, so we know that you have at least one a waypoint inside, and at least one, and then we can simply do, call it now. Okay, and we of course first need to assign this. So the way to assign it will be our waypoints and get the very first one. Okay, so this will automatically assign a waypoint, or the first waypoint, and then he's going to make him move to that position. So the next one will go to the next one, and go to the next one, and go to the next one. Let's hit play, and that still didn't work for some reason, and let's debug it also to see why it didn't. Unless we screw out something with this. Which I don't think we did. Distance check player, angle check is clear view. Common behaviors. Let's see. We have what we need. Let's see if it actually ever comes in here. Yeah, so here's another little problem. We cannot use this because if we unhide this in the inspector, you will see that it's not nullable. Okay, and it's not nullable because we have it serialized. So yeah, that's a little bit of a problem, but we can work around with it. For example, because it's an empty waypoint, and we know that for a waypoint to actually be a waypoint, then that means he probably needs to have a target destination. Okay, so don't be confused about that. Okay, this needs to be, you need to be experienced a little bit with Unity to have a hands like this, because I had this, I have encountered this many times before. Okay, so instead of checking for current waypoint, and as I said, for something to be a waypoint, it needs to have a target destination. If it doesn't have a target destination, then that means it's not it's not a waypoint, or well, technically it is a waypoint, but it doesn't have a target destination, so it's not a valid waypoint. Let's try it now. Okay, you can see he goes, of course he goes a little bit too fast. He goes to first waypoint, and he basically now has a problem that he doesn't go to the distance. Let's debug this. Let's put a breakpoint. Let's put it over here. Although, yeah, this might be a little bit annoying to put it like this. So instead of this, let's throw in a debug log inside waypoint distance. Now you will notice that I'm going very slow, but yeah, I do this so that I can cover every case you might encounter writing this. If I was to write this, without recording and without explaining, then all this would have been done, in just a few minutes, basically. But yeah, it's more, I think it will help you more if you see what you can encounter or what might encounter, and what problems I will face, so it will help you solve your own problems. Okay, so here's what happened. As we can see, it changed the waypoint, but for some reason it still just wants to keep stay there. So what we need to do is reassign the current waypoint. And actually this will have been the same. Oh yeah, it's not the same because we changed the waypoint, I believe. Or actually, yeah, we changed. Let's take this, put it over here, because the waypoint index is going to be updated in each of these cases, so it won't matter. And let's hit play. Okay, he goes to the other waypoint. Now this is a little bit too slow, so let's make him to go super fast. So let's change the speed to, let's change it to 8, since it doesn't matter. We just want to see that it works. Okay. Now keep in mind that you will see that because we've raised the speed he starts to overshoot on a lot of areas because it's how the calculations are based. Okay, he doesn't have that much control right now. And let's see what he actually did. Yeah, so he's going to go to this one, to this guy, and then to this guy, and then take it. It's not going to go over here because it's not a circular. It's going to go on reverse. Okay, so he goes to this guy and then back to this guy and then to this guy. Okay. If we want him to go on circular, then all we have to do is, instead of doing this, simply remove the reverse. Okay, and we should see that he will go, and he goes pretty fast. You can also change the angular speed to something different, or well, something faster, and that will make him instantly rotate, or almost instantly. And you can also disable the auto braking, and you can also, add a stopping distance. Usually you want a stopping distance, so for example, let's set this to 1, but keep in mind it might overshoot. Okay, and depending on the other stuff you want to change, you can do them. You can change that also. So let's leave it at that. Let's leave the settings as they were. Let's remove the auto braking and let's add the stopping distance, maybe 1.5. I guess that should work. Now let's hit play, and when I open my character, my player, you will notice that there's going to be a slight of problem. And so for example, let him pass this guy, and then let's open our collider. Yeah, he's seeing us, but you can see that we now start to have problems, or that, yeah, here we actually, because we are making our character or the enemy actually, when he sees the player, to go to the position of the player, we override our path, our pathfinding. Okay, if we didn't override our pathfinding, then we will be making him rotate to look towards the target, but he will still move towards those positions. So for example, let's try this out also with our enemy AI. And when we are in view behaviors, we need to find direction, and it's clear view. I will note it's clear view. Let's see where we had it. Okay, he's in view, and this will make him move to position which we're going to comment out. And let's try it now, and you will see that the enemy will keep looking towards, or try to look towards, the position of the player, but he's still going along his regular path. So we need one more behavior that it's going to make him basically stop in his path. Let's go over here and do a public void. Let's call this stop moving. We don't have to add something in here. And what we can do, or basically how you can do it, you can do agent.stop. Okay, now there's one little problem with this, is that when you are using agent stop, whenever you're going to call it again, you actually need to start to do, and I think it was start, let's see, agent resume. Okay, so your agent can actually be re-enabled. We don't have a way to solve this, so what I'm going to do, because I want to jump out of states, and I'm going to call this target state, and I'm going to call this public bool, and let's call this change state. This is entirely for debugging purposes, so you don't have to do this. Change state will be false, and we're going to call the change state target state. And okay, let's go over here. This is just for changing our target state. Now, okay, he sees our player, he tries to look at him, and no, the player is actually closed, I think. Okay, but now you can see, well, nothing happens because we haven't enabled where we want to stop. So let's take this, and we can guess where we can use this. Since we don't have to call this on any of these frames, we can just simply use this over here. So you can see how you can build for each state, how we can keep building behaviors and to do something more complex, starting from the very scratch. Okay, we enable the player, the enemy AI stops. Now, because we do not have any, well, for some reason he followed us, and yeah, I know why he followed us, because we got out of his view. Okay, and the AI has actually been re-enabled for some reason. The reason for that is because we are monitoring the target's position. Okay, if we remove this, he's not going to follow us if we go far away, but he's still going to try, and yeah, maybe we've closed him too soon. Okay, he looks us where we are. If I disable my sphere view, it doesn't matter. Even if he doesn't see me, he still rotates to see me, rotates toward my direction. Okay, and that's something we want, and we want to use, but we don't want him to actually look at us. But for example, in a shooter, you might be behind cover. Well, you want your characters to shoot towards you, probably. Okay, if we change now the AI state, let's leave it at idle and hit change state. And yeah, we probably need to reset a few more of these. Let's see. Yeah, this might not actually work. You can see that I think because in Radius we do not run we run it. But yeah, because this one has stopped the agent, but over here we have only precise cases where we actually reuse the moved position. So what we can do is simply say AI agent resume, or actually if we don't want to do this every time, we could probably, let's see, there should be some flag that we can check. let's see, we have acceleration, have our variables, collider, our velocity. Let's see, path is, if this is from, no, this is not, this is probably not from the navmesh agent, this is probably from mono behavior. Let's see, if pass there, I don't, this might be something we want to, we can use, but I don't know if it's going to take you know, stopping the agent as that your path is stale. Let's see, path and position, path pending, radius. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to use any of these. So let's just use the resume, at least that could work. Or, well, okay, it's not going to be that that safe. Well, actually, I don't know if it's going to be that safe, but let's do this. So when you are inside your patrol behavior and you have a waypoint, you are probably supposed to be moving. So what we can do is check for our AI agent. If our velocity is 0, then that means there's probably a problem, or later on we're going to see that we will actually have to wait through each waypoint. Okay, so yeah, he's going to try and resume the AI agent. Let's close this over here and let's hit play. Let's enable our player. Okay. And he now yeah, so something overrides. Let's remove this because it gets annoying. So this will actually mess with this, so that's not the way to do this. So yeah, let's change this, let's delete this, and instead let's just use this, let's just casually drop this inside our idle behaviors and in radius behaviors, and let's see if that will actually do the trick. Well, let's, oops, not remaining distance, resume, and let's also drop this inside over here, and let's see. As you can see, you need a little bit to think about where you should be dropping this and where you should be using them. And yeah, that's not also what we want. Let's remove this. Maybe we have done something else. We have another problem that we haven't seen it, and let's see, let's enable it from over here. There's no need to wait for all of that. Okay, so the problem is we are calling the resume into the wrong place. In theory though, it should have worked over here, especially since we're only calling this you know, inside idle behaviors and in radius behaviors. Let's see. Let's see. Let me think. So, okay, I added a debug log, and here you will see where is the problem. Again, this can all have been done so much faster, but you know, I'm recording, and well, keep in mind that you wanted me to do things from scratch. Okay, so the problem, our AI state is in view, but we still get the debug log from, you know, from inside the patrol behavior. So that means that the patrol behavior is called on their own AI state. So let's see why this happens. We have our in-view behaviors. So inside in-view behaviors, you can see that here's the culprit. We run the in-radius behaviors along with the in-view behaviors. So let's remove this, and it should now be, if we go and add the rest of the stuff we had before, let's again do the AI agent. Let's check with velocity. Okay, and then we have AI agent resume. Okay, let's see now. Now we should probably get the correct behavior. Okay, he looks at the player. He doesn't though do the recast towards the player because it has to do with the it was inside the in-radius behaviors. Okay, he doesn't do the recast. But if I disable the player, well, nothing going to happen because we're still doing the we're not doing the in-radius behavior. But if I go into my AI and change the state, okay, he just go about his business going through the waypoint. And keep in mind he jumps because there is the off-mesh link, that if we delete the off-mesh link, okay, no more off-mesh link. And actually, if we probably place this somewhere over here, we should be seeing the nav mesh all the time. Okay. Again, if I disable the player and then change the AI state, we can not the AI state, I want to change it from here. Change state, come on. And now he decided he doesn't want to work, of course. Let's see. Disable the player, AI, change state. So yeah, it's probably a bug or something that he still. But anyway, we don't really care about this this one. Okay. So let's dive into the script again. We don't want this anymore. We know where we are getting it. So let's go and on inside our enemy AI, and let's also make sure we can utilize this. Now, in view behaviors, we're using this on every frame, but some of this we don't have to run them on every frame. So what we can do is void in view behaviors, secondary, and let's see what other stuff we need to do. Distance check, find direction, and angle check. Basically we want all of this instead of the patrol behavior. We're going to take this, and on the late frame we're just going to add this, and we're going to get back all the settings we had previously. Okay, we can see that he still rotates towards the target, we can, even if there is a wall behind him, let's disable this. Okay, he still rotates. Let's see if, yeah, he changes his position. Now changes his position. So there's probably some variables we had to reset that weren't be resetted, but you can see that now it works as it should. And you can see, you can get a lot more information about the nav mesh from this stuff. Okay, you can see neighbors where there is no neighbors since there is only one AI. So walls, it says where there is actually an obstacle. Okay, you can also show avoidance. So everything in here, he's going to try and avoid him. And let's see if we let's enable all of this because they are funny. Okay, so you can get a lot more information with your nav mesh. Especially since if we were keeping the A star, then just imagine that we will have to write all this visualization. So yeah, the nav mesh is just better for this type of game. Okay, so we've covered most of it, and yeah, we're still not done actually. We could just keep doing and add more behaviors to this. And yeah, let's do this. I guess let's do it now. Doesn't matter. So let's go to our waypoint base. Let's add public float wait time. We're going to add this by 1. Now, here's a thing to think about though. We are running this on every 15 frames. Right. So, if we run also this, the wait time, to if we add the check to check if we add the check, yeah, if we have an if statement that checks if we have waited enough time in this waypoint on every 15 frames, then that means it's not going to be, you know, a true 50 or on true time, let's call it like that, since it's not going to be adding on by time.delta time based on every frame. Okay, it's going to be adding on time.delta time based on every that many frames we are calling it. So we can either add a new function that checks on this on every frame, or we can, well, or yeah, we can, you know, adjust accordingly. So for example, if we are over here, we can add an if current waypoint, you know, wait time. We should also probably add public float like this. Let's call this wait time waypoint. We want to have on our enemy stats if wait time waypoint is higher than the amount of the current waypoint you have set of this wait time, then on and only then change the position. Okay, and we can just keep adding on this wait time by time.delta time. Okay. Now, since we're not running this on every frame, then that means we want to have this will update every 15 frames. Okay, so you know, with a quick calculation you can guess the offset, so you can multiply this with an offset to, you know, to have the this will be 0, to take into account the fact that you're only adding on every 15 or 35 frames, or you can add a new behavior that just adds on every frame. But both will work actually, and I'm going to leave it like this because it's entirely, you know, project based. because this it's not going to be a problem. He's just going to see that the player is just going to see that, you know, the enemy just waits a few more seconds more. But if you have to tailor everything down to the second, then you can simply take into account the offset and stuff like that. So let's change this to 3 seconds. So he's going to wait on this one for 3 seconds, and on this one he's just going to go directly to the other waypoint. Okay, let's hit play, and I think I'm going to end the video after we check that this has worked. Of course, we need to disable the player, so let's disable him. Let's hit play. Okay, he will go to the first waypoint. If everything is correct, he's going to wait 1 second, and that didn't actually work. Let's see. It actually worked, but as I said, it's just slower because we're adding on every 15 frames. You can see the wait time over here. Okay, we can see where it is, and that will take a little bit longer. Of course, you can keep adding and keep adding the difference through each one of these. And the difference, you can find it if you go into your project settings, to your time. Okay, depending on all of this, here's your time step. So in theory, if you add 15 times this, every time you add this, okay, if it goes let's see, 99, yeah, on this one he will just pass, and let's see, he will wait. Yeah, so that's not the value we're looking for actually. Let's see, it should be one of these, or we could just calculate it from all of this. Maybe it's the, yeah, it's probably the 0.2. Let's see. AI. Yeah, it's the 0.2. So, and well, actually, you can just do multiplied by time dot time step. If we can access it, let's see. We can't. Let's see. Fixed time step. Fixed. We have the delta time. Fixed delta time. Fixed here. Yeah, that's probably not it. Let's do it this way. Fixed delta time multiplied by 15. It should probably something, I don't, yeah, I have to check the documentation to see, to find the correct value for this. Yeah, that was way too fast. So let's just do it time dot delta time. So for example, if it's by 0.2, then that means let's think. If we multiply by 15, it's probably going to be too much, I believe. Or we can, yeah, let's leave it like that. Let's see. I'm totally blacking out right now. So yeah, that was way too fast. So yeah, we can just I cannot think of the month right now, but it's probably So yeah, the math was actually correct, okay, but it was just 1 second, so you know, it just passed way too fast for me to notice. Okay, but if we go, like I said, 8 seconds. Okay, you can see what I said with overshoot over here, because he goes out of the area and then goes back. Okay, you can see that it stops counting for a bit, and then when he goes back, he starts recounting. And you can see that that's about correct time. Okay, to fix the overshoot, we can do auto braking, and if the auto braking doesn't help, then you can simply lower the speed. And this speed is kind of a variable speed, and because you have acceleration and stuff like that. As you can see, the auto braking just make him sit directly on top. But yeah, you can also calculate, you know, the stuff and the positions by script, and you can add more into the speed and stuff like this. So yeah, I think that's enough for one video. We are over an hour, so I'm going to end it over here. As always, you know what to do: like, subscribe, and also if you would like to support me so I can continue making all of this, then you can grab either a project from Gumroad or you can support me on Patreon, so you know I can keep making all of this. So I'll see you next time.